morning, everybody. Crafting Journey here. That Journey chick over on Instagram. Welcome to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, episode number 320. Today we're going to cover day 2 of the trial of Catherine Mcmanawa for the murder of FSU law professor Dan Markell. But first, I'm going to have a sip of my iced coffee. You know why? Because it's going in the 90s today, so I'm just getting ready for that tropical weather, you know. Then we're going to have storms. Yep. Feels like Florida all over again. Like I never left. Last night, in case you missed it, on Craft With Me Wednesday, there's a link to it up here in the eye. I finished up a loom knit hat. So if you want to see how I finished it, I used a new finish, and I will give props to Fiber Monkey. He has a different way of finishing the top part of the hat, and I thought it was super cool. It makes it look super polished and finished, rather than just bunching it all together. If you want to see how I did that, check out that video. Just click on it and then save it to watch later, and then you won't miss a thing on this channel. So, it's banana, Chiquita banana. It is this premier sweet roll fruits banana. Doesn't smell like banana, but it's banana. I just think it really looks like that looks like the inside of the banana, and yeah, it's just really cool how they did that. So, start my hat collection for this winter. So you will see all kinds of crafts on this channel. Today I'm going to watercolor while I chit chat with you. So today I have the dreaded final doctor's appointment. The final. I don't know if it's the final, but it's a 6-week post-op. Although I think it's been longer than 6 weeks since the first surgery. I think this is 6 weeks since the second surgery. Yeah, but I need to get my ass back to work. I do, because I am enjoying the hell out of staying home, crafting and napping. Yeah, I need to get back to work. I am enjoying it way too much. Although, here's the deal. I do have a lot of pain in my hip. Now, one of the subscribers, thank you very much, Sherry, said that it's due to alignment, just probably the way I'm walking, it's, I don't know. And once I stop favoring that knee, I guess the pain in my hip will go away. Meanwhile, it hurts like a devil. Yes. So yesterday we went to pick up my prescription. We stopped at the Nifty Nut House because that's kind of a requirement now, apparently. And here's the funny thing. We're going to the Nifty Nut House, and the bus is loading. The lady, the lady in charge of the bus is like, come on. Here's the old people with their walkers, and they're all coming out with their candy, their bags of candy, and they're all going back to the assisted living place. I'm like, where is this assisted living place? Listen, that's where I want to live. If you're going to give me a ride to the Nifty Nut House once in a while. Hey guys, field trip, Nifty Nut House, who's in? Me. And, they scooped up the walkers and the canes and the wheelchairs, and they packed them into the bus, and bless their hearts. I can just see me. I would like a 1/4 pound of malted milk balls. And then I'll shuffle around to the other side. It's a big store. Shuffle around to the other side of the store. I would like a 1/4 pound of... oh, no, I changed my mind. That one. No. That one. You know how us old people are. We can't make up our minds. But I just thought it was the cutest thing. But when I got home, my hip, more than my knee. My knee was hurting. But my hip was screaming at me. I had to take 2 Percocets. Yeah, screaming at me. And, so we'll see what the doctor says today. But then I have to go to the workers' comp. Is it workers' comp? I don't know. The disability doctors, workers' comp. It's the same doctor that they use for both those things to say that I'm okay to go back to work according to I don't know, whatever, them. Okay. So I got to make an appointment with them. That'll be fun. So what I'm doing is I'm putting down washi tape over this cold press paper, and I'm taping it to this hard surface, in this case my light pad, so that, because I'm using water, and if you don't put it down, secure it, it's going to start to warp, because we're, water and paper, starts to warp. But if you leave it down here till it dries, till after you paint it, then it's not going to be warped. It'll be fine. So, but it doesn't take long to dry, not at all. What is the national day today? It is National Devil's Food Cake Day. What? Yes, Devil's Food Cake. So how is that different from chocolate cake? I thought, sounds the same to me, Doesn't it sound the same to you as chocolate cake? Nope, not the same. Not the same. Why do I keep choosing blue and red? I don't know. Because it makes purple. So here's the difference in a devil's food cake. Devil's food cake is made with cocoa powder as opposed to chocolate. Chocolate cake is made with chocolate. Now, I thought cocoa was chocolate. What do I know? I'm not a chef. But, okay. And did you know that red velvet cake is devil's food cake, but it just has food coloring in it to make it red. But devil's food cake has a little bit more airiness to it than a regular chocolate cake, which is a little bit more dense. I prefer a more dense chocolate cake, I think, than a devil's food cake. But a devil's food cake has that more rich, decadent chocolate flavor, even though it's made out of cocoa powder. So here's how you can celebrate National Devil's Food Cake Day. Bake a devil's food cake and then bring it to my house. That's a good way to celebrate. Or, you could just eat it at your house. Okay. Trying to pick out some colors I haven't used yet. Let's just go here. We just want one off in the distance, like a little bud. Yeah. Some buds. So what's your preference? Devil food? Or chocolate? I'm just looking. I love to watch the way these colors interact with the water. It's very cool. It really is. I think I want to use some more of this up here. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Very cool. All right. Are we ready for, drumroll, the trial of Catherine Mcmanawa? Get your popcorn. I know this is not Johnny Depp and Amanda Heard or whatever her name is. We don't have the sex and the, and the whatever, the celebrity and the drama. But, well, there's drama in this one. Trust me, there's drama. But interesting nonetheless, because this is the retrial of Catherine Mcmanawa. Her first trial last year was a hung jury. I covered that trial. If you want to go back and listen to that trial, most of the evidence is going to be the same as, this trial here. But if you want to go back and take a look at my coverage of that trial, it's playlisted under, I think it's FSU Law Professor Murder Trial. Yeah, down in the playlist. So, now that I'm talking about my channel, don't forget to hit the like button. Yep, he's going to go with me to the doctor today just to kind of hold my hand because, sometimes it's going to be bittersweet that I have to go back to work. Yeah, so on your way in or out, please just hit that like button. It makes this bright little spring, when you hit the like button, all kinds of colors. It's really cool. And it does help the algorithm. It lets YouTube know that people are watching my channel. Also, please consider subscribing. If you're already subscribed, please consider becoming a member or making a one-time donation through the super thanks down at the bottom. Next to the like button, there's a dislike button, and all the way across, there's a thanks button. And last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit the notification bell because I don't post these crafting and crime shows at the same time every day. It just depends on when I get done with the editing and the uploading and all that good stuff, which is going to be fun with me going back to work because usually when I was in the office, I would have to do my editing at lunchtime. All right, let's come up with some cool colors here. I'm just gonna do some like flowers and stuff here. We want some cool colors. Let's start with this pinkish color here. Got enough water. There we go. All right. So Catherine Mcmanawa, day one, I told you yesterday what the opening statements were. You can find that in the eye. Also download it for later if you didn't watch it. My summary of the opening statements. The first witness was the nosy neighbor. He's looking out his window and he sees Dan Markell pull into the garage. And he finds this curious because he's not getting out of the vehicle. And so the prosecutor, bless her heart, she asks the obvious question. Do you always sit and look out your window at other people's homes? No, I just happened to be passing by and I see him pull into the driveway, so I watched. And she's like, oh, okay. Good explanation. I'm glad she asked the question. So then he sees this Prius. He described the Prius to the police. He did not get the license plate, but he sees this Prius pull into the driveway, pull out very fast, and drive away. So now he's very curious because Markell's not getting out of his vehicle. He doesn't hear the gunshot or anything like that. Yeah. So he goes over to his house to check on him. And Dan Markell is sitting in the vehicle. He sees, as he's approaching the vehicle, he sees that the window's shattered. And he's calling Dan's name. Dan, are you all right? Are you all right? Daniel. And Daniel's not all right. Daniel, he said he could see blood. He could see... I don't think he realized that it was a gunshot, but he certainly could see the blood. And he said he was not talking, but he was moving. So he gets 911 started. So the next witness is the first arriving officer on the scene. And what he does, because the engine was still running on Markell's car, so he takes a pen and he puts his arm through the open window, the glass shattered window, to pop the lock, and then he reaches through and shuts the engine off, just because, it's in the garage, the carbon monoxide, not good for their safety. And then he waits 14 minutes for the rescue to get there. 14 minutes. What the heck is going on in Tallahassee? Of course, this was back in 2014. I hope they've improved response times since then. So they get him, they take him to the hospital, and try to figure out what color I want to use next. Oh, Lavender. They get him to the hospital. He lives for 14 hours. Yeah. And then he passes away. I think they turned everything off after 14 hours. Meanwhile, then we get the medical examiner. So the medical examiner, he testifies that, cause and manner of death. Obviously, the cause of death was gunshot wound to the forehead, and manner of death was homicide. But he says there were 2 gunshot wounds. The first wound, he thinks the first wound went into Dan Markel's. So he's driving. He's not driving, but he's in the driver's seat. So picture him in the driver's seat. The first bullet hits him in the cheek. And he said that one, in and of itself, was not enough. It wouldn't have killed him. He would have survived that one because it just penetrated the mandible and it kind of stopped. Then as Dan turns and raises his arm like this, like this, because they found soot on his arm. So they know he kind of raised his arm as he looks to see what's going on. Because remember, he's still alive after this cheek thing. He turns and the second gunshot goes right here. That's a pretty good shot. Now he's, like me, he's wearing glasses. So it shatters his glasses. That's how good this gunshot, this shot was. Shatters his glasses and goes in. And of course, that's the one that kills him. Oh, can you imagine? Holy moly. So the next witness they call is the crime scene investigator, who is now retired. I think we're going to find that most of the people in this case have retired, including the officer that we're going to hear from next, also retired. So he gets on the stand and they're like, so tell us how you conduct an investigation. So he's like, okay. And so he tells them, first I want to find out as much as I can about the victim. So he finds out that the victim is, he's an FSU law professor going through a very contentious divorce with this Wendy Adelson. He learns that maybe because they're lawyers, I don't know. There's a lot of motion practice going on between the two of them. And the most recent one was filed because her mother was disparaging him in front of the children. And she had offered him $1 million to go away and let those boys live in South Florida. And if he didn't accept the $1 million, she threatened to turn him into Catholics. Now he's a very devout Jewish man. That's a pretty, he would not be happy with that kind of a threat. So I need to get better at flowers. I'm good at leaves, but not flowers. So there was a motion to make the grandmother's visitations supervised that was set to be heard the following week. Yeah. So isn't that interesting? So Markel is getting ready for this hearing. Okay. Contentious divorce. Okay. So this detective sees that he is in his gym clothes when he's shot. And he sees that he has a gym bag. And he goes through his wallet and he figures out that he's a member of this premier gym. So they go out to the premier gym and they find out that they have security footage. So they get a hold of the security footage And now we know from the neighbor that he describes this white Prius. So they look on the security footage and they see Dan Markel's vehicle coming into the parking lot. And shortly thereafter, while he's pulling into his parking space, we see the Prius come in. So, but once again, with all the security footage, we can't get the license plate. They couldn't get the license plate on the Prius. So Dan is in the gym for an hour. He comes out of the gym. The Prius is still in the parking lot. He gets in his vehicle, pulls out of the parking lot. The Prius pulls out behind him. Then, this was very clever. They pulled the security footage from 2 city buses. They pulled them from more than one city bus. Can you imagine having to go through all this city bus footage? But they pulled some from the same routes that would go from the gym to Dan Markel's house. So the first bus is stopped so a passenger can put her bike on and get on the bus. So it's stopped at this intersection for quite some time, and you see on the cross street Dan Markel's vehicle go by, and then you see the Prius vehicle go by following him. And then when that bus makes a turn onto that same highway, cross street, and actually catches up at the next light to the Prius, right behind the Prius, but we can't see the license plate. So the next bus is also traveling in the same direction, but in a different lane as Dan Markel's car and the Prius. So we see that Prius come and sort of pass the bus in the next lane, and what we see is that bus caught on film that you could see 2 people in the vehicle. So now we know there are 2 people involved in this murder. But the other thing that the detectives learned from this footage is that the Prius had an aftermarket side mirror, meaning after this vehicle was purchased, somebody replaced the side mirror with a different mirror. I think it was black anyway. And there was also something missing under the headlight on the front, where there's like a little cap that you have to pull off if you want to get your vehicle towed. That cap was missing. So that made this Prius kind of distinct. And then this detective proceeds to describe more footage that we see the Prius on this bus footage pull up to the cross street that goes to Dan Markel's neighborhood, and it takes a left and goes into that neighborhood. And this is minutes before the murder occurred. Very damning evidence. So what they do to figure out that this is the vehicle, they now know that it's a Prius. That's pretty much all they know. So one of the other distinct things about this Prius is that it had a sun pass on it. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a sticker that goes on the mirror. If you're going to take a toll road, instead of stopping to pay for the tolls, this little electronic sticker means that you can go through the lane where you don't have to stop and pay cash. It just electronically debits the money out of your account. So they subpoena all the records for the toll roads, not for the toll roads, but for the SunPass toll roads. And it's a lot of Priuses that have SunPasses. So SunPass people are like, can you narrow that down? And they're like, yeah, anybody that would travel from South Florida to Tallahassee. And the reason they suspected this is because they suspected, they knew that there was a contentious divorce between Wendy Adelson, who's now living in South Florida. So lo and behold, they find this particular Prius that was traveled that particular day to Tallahassee. It goes up there and it goes back. And the times that it went through the toll booth, they mapped out all the times, and it just aligns perfectly when, they get up there when the murder's committed and they get on the road and get back. So everything kind of lines up. So that's how they narrow it down. So now they've got Luis Rivera. They go arrest him because his name was on the rental agreement for this Prius. They go and they arrest him. And he starts talking about this Catherine Mcmanawa. And they're like, who's this Catherine Mcmanawa? So he says, well, she hired us to do this, to go and kill Dan Markel. She hired Sergio, and Sergio hired him. That's what he says. That's what he's going to say. You'll hear that later on. So now we have the vehicle. This is so cool. So they pull Luis Rivera in for an interrogation, and he starts talking about Catherine Mcmanawa. So during this interrogation of Luis Rivera, like I said, he's given up Catherine Mcmanawa. So they work out a deal. If we arrest her for conspiracy, will you testify against her and Sergio? And he's like, yeah. But so now they got to work out all the details between them and his attorney, between the prosecutor and his attorney. So it involved a lot of affidavits. So this affidavit laid out the prosecution's theory of Catherine Mcmanawa's involvement. And this, on cross-examination yesterday, the lead investigator actually admitted that, yes, this would have given Luis Rivera enough time to adopt the prosecution's theory as his testimony. What? That was one hell of an admission, I gotta tell you guys. One hell of an admission. So, that's how we got Catherine Mcmanawa involved. Yep. The plot thickens. So, who's going to testify today? Don't know. So today's testimony will likely be Luis Rivera. We'll get to see that. But now, what's happened is the defense has successfully, I believe, put some doubt into the juror's mind as to the credibility of this Luis Rivera, who's squawking, from the jail because he got a deal. So I'm really curious to see what Sergio has to say when he gets up on the stand. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the prosecution has subpoenaed Wendy Adelson to testify in this trial. Now, I don't know if you recall, Wendy Adelson, of course, was the wife of Dan Markel. She testified in the first trial, but when she did, she was given a qualified immunity. So what that means is it doesn't mean she's immune from being arrested and charged and all that stuff. And she still may be. But it means that whatever she testified to in that last trial cannot be used against her if she was ever arrested in her own trial. Now, she didn't say a whole lot in that last trial, I got to tell you. Her testimony was very unremarkable. Her demeanor said volumes, but her testimony was quite unremarkable. So they have subpoenaed her to testify in this case. So now her defense, or her attorney, her personal attorney, has filed a motion to quash that subpoena, meaning throw it out. That she shouldn't have to appear. I don't know what the grounds for this are, because generally when you get a subpoena, you got to go testify, and there's very little that's going to get you out of it. So I think what's happening is behind the scenes they're working out another deal, another immunity deal for her to testify. Although I don't know why. She didn't say that much. And now the defense is trying to piggyback their own subpoena on top of the prosecution's subpoena. And the reason they do that is in case the prosecution decides not to call her as a witness. If she was only subpoenaed by the prosecution, the defense would have no power to put her on the stand during their own case. So if they have a subpoena on her as well, if the prosecution decides not to call her as a witness, then the defense can call her as a witness. So they've filed motions to dismiss both of those, or to quash both of those subpoenas. I don't know how successful that will be. Probably won't be successful, but between now and when the hearing is set for that motion to be heard, they're probably going to work out something with Wendy for her testimony. Yeah. Now, I think today we're going to hear, like I said, from Luis Rivera. Yeah. This day in history. So in 1536, the second wife of King Henry VIII gets her head chopped up. Yep, for adultery and incest and all this good stuff. Yeah, she played hell marrying that man, I'll tell you. It took forever for him to get divorced from his first wife. Meanwhile, they're carrying on this affair out in public. The big thing that was going on behind the scenes of this whole marriage between Anne and King Henry was that his first wife was Catholic. Anne was Protestant. So all the parishioners, all the people in this kingdom were Catholic, and they worshiped their queen. Now here comes this Protestant. There was this big, huge Protestant movement. But King Henry, he was thinking with the wrong brain. He wanted Anne, and he carried on this affair till he finally got his marriage to his first wife annulled. And then Anne was actually several months pregnant when she became Queen Anne. Yeah, they couldn't wait till the divorce was final, or till the marriage went through. Yep. Oh, that's not very dark. There we go. Boy, I gotta get better at this. I really do. That sucks. Oh my goodness. We're just gonna pick that up. See if we can. Oh, that's much better. I am terrible at this. I'm getting better, but oh, I have fun doing it. So I love watching, history stuff about, the Queen and King Henry, because, he was quite the devil, that guy. And then 10 days after Anne is executed, he marries his next wife, Jane Seymour. He already had her lined up in the wings. Yes, he did. That scoundrel. Can you believe that? I can't. Man. So, that is the show for today. Tune in tomorrow for more of the Catherine Mcmanawa saga. Oh, So let me show you what I've got so far. I'll pick it up. It's still wet, but I'll pick it up because I can put it back down. I think I can. I think I can. Yeah, I can do this. Hold on. I'll just pick it up with the washi tape. It looks like kind of an alien. So what I'm trying to do here is practice blending the colors in the actual trays rather than the palette, and blending the colors are actually on the paper as opposed to a palette. In other words, not involving a palette. And I was kind of successful with some of them. Still need some work. Yeah. I gotta practice my leaves a little bit more. This one looks like a sperm. What is that? This is an adult show. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye.